can tell she's never spent any time in a black church because she tried to paint it as a hateful thing and a divisive thing. There is no place in America or the world today where a white person is more welcome and celebrated than in a black church.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Ask the Next Question. I'm Joshua.
I'm Colten.
We are having a great show for you all today. But first, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We have a few questions we're going to go over. So if you have some answers or responses to the questions we raised, feel free to shoot those in the comments. How you feeling today, bro?
I'm feeling good. Kid's been home with me all day. Indigenous Peoples Day.
Indigenous Peoples Day.
So, I'm a little ragged and war weary.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't have the day off, so I was working, but that's okay. It was a solid day. It's a little dreary here in Chicago, but
yeah.
It's a nice little cozy day. The Bears are playing, so I have to check the game after we get done. But
yeah, I got somebody winning me my fantasy game right now.
How's your fantasy team looking?
It's looking good. I think I'll probably be in first place after this week. I'm in first place right now. Yeah.
Do you play?
Yeah.
You played multiple years.
Fantasy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been in the same league for like almost 16 years.
16 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been playing longer than me.
These guys from college.
I've only been playing for like 5 years.
But bro, I know the least of
you're not a big
anybody in my league. I won like 2 or 3 years ago. I won the league. I usually come in the playoffs.
Okay.
Usually get I usually do pretty well, even though I know the least. And I'll tell you why. All my decisions, everything that I do, I just Google. What is the consensus of experts' opinion on this?
Yeah.
And then so all of my choices are the consensus of what all the world's greatest experts in football and fantasy football think.
That's the way to do it.
And all my friends know too much and they can make their own decisions.
You get too smart, you think you're too clever. That's what I do. So I'm in 4 leagues. I'm pretty crazy. So I'm a commissioner in 1. I have no good teams. I'm 1-4 in 2 of them. I might as well be 0-5 in the one I'm paying the most money on.
Yeah.
One of my best league, I'm 2-3.
Okay.
So it's a bad year. I won in my money league last year. I won a championship. But
do you do like punishments in all your leagues?
So one of them has a punishment. So unfortunately, I'm in the running to get this punishment. It's whoever is in last place has to go to a diner and sit there for 24 hours. You can take 1 hour off the time for however many pancakes you eat. So if you eat 5 pancakes, you can stay there for 5 less hours.
We did this last year in our league.
Okay.
And my friend Cole had to do it.
Okay. How long did he stay?
He ended up staying like 7 hours.
Okay, that's not bad.
They negotiated it down to 12 hours total. So he didn't have to do 24 hours. Because everyone in my league is got kids and stuff. So they were all like, we can't do that. But Cole, I'm actually playing him tonight.
Okay.
And he's team No More Pancakes. That's his teammate. But yeah, he was supposed to beat me because he's like number 2 in our league right now. But Drake London I think he's running the score for me right now.
He's doing good, bro. Yeah. So I think you might be all right. Yeah, it's tough, man. I love sports. I'm a Browns fan, so fantasy football is like my relief from the misery of the Cleveland Browns. But this year, I just got more misery with fantasy football.
I'm a Philly Eagles fan, Phillies fan, nice. NHL fan. So from an outside perspective, you'd think like we're riding high. Yeah. But I think every Phillies fan right now just like hates every team. Thursday we lost, Flyers lost, Eagles lost, and Phillies lost and got eliminated from the playoffs.
Bad week for Philly.
Yeah, it was like the universe is trying to really like set Eagles fans in their proper place.
Y'all got to humble yourselves a little bit. Exactly. That's cool, man. Exactly. That's cool. Well, let's get into these questions. The first question I'll ask you is, we're starting off with a very light topic.
Yeah.
But the first question is, will there actually be a ceasefire in Gaza?
Dang, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to speak against it because I really hope that it happens.
Absolutely.
I've seen there's just so much. There's been so many false starts, and then there's the question of let's say the ceasefire does really go through. It looks like they just signed it. Just saw like a thing, Trump, everybody signing the thing, which is like crazy, right? Like, oh yeah, the U.S. isn't complicit in a genocide, then why are we signing the ceasefire agreement? Interesting. But then what does it even mean?
Right.
Because way before October 7th, Israel was committing, an apartheid, in Gaza and in the West Bank, and Gaza was, already considered the world's largest open air prison.
Absolutely.
And so, what does it mean to have a ceasefire in a place where everything's been destroyed? I felt humiliated and outraged and angered at a friend of mine's Instagram post. I unfollowed him, not because I don't want to because I want to cut him off and be mean and rude to him. But I couldn't bring myself. I can't keep seeing him post stuff like this.
Yeah.
Because it's just engendering nothing good in me.
Sure.
But I commented, he's a pastor of a large church, like a 15,000 person church in Tulsa. Mm-hmm. And so anybody watches this from Tulsa probably knows who I'm talking about. We went to college together, and he posted a post today celebrating the release of the Israeli hostages, which I celebrate that too.
Absolutely.
I mean, thank God, like they need to be released.
Absolutely. But
there was nothing in there about the still at that point pending release of the like thousands. Mm-hmm. So there was like what? How many people were released? Like
it was a couple dozen.
A couple dozen Israeli hostages released.
Yeah.
There's like thousands of Palestinian hostages. Yeah. Nothing about them. Mm-hmm. Nothing about and because there's never been a post from this person about the destruction in Gaza, about an entire civilization wiped out, about 60,000 confirmed killed, probably hundreds of thousands when you count everyone trapped under the rubble died because they couldn't get medical attention, died because they couldn't get food, and just like the like a 4 slide carousel he posted, just celebrating this. And, you know, I mean, yes, we celebrate that, but free Palestine, because now that there's a ceasefire, what does that mean for these people?
Right.
What's next?
What's next?
What comes next? And just on my way over here, I saw a post on Instagram that, I mean, I started like almost crying in the elevator. When there was like other people in the elevator trying to like hold it together. It was a father, looked about my age, who had just been released. He was a Palestinian hostage, released. And he's in a wheelchair, and they wheel him out, and he's getting the news. It's supposed to be a moment of joy, being reunited with his family. He's getting the news that his wife and his 3 children have all been killed.
It's heartbreaking.
And, you know, it's just, I mean, it's awful all the way around, but when we talk about what does a ceasefire mean, right? The vacuum that's been created there, the devastation that's been wrought. A ceasefire is not liberation.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And a ceasefire is good. A ceasefire is nice. A ceasefire is important and will save lives.
Yeah.
But we need to see Palestinian liberation.
Yeah.
I've been ranting, and you haven't even had a chance to talk.
No, go in, bro.
One thing I got to say, bro, is like, there's a big question right now of how much credit should we be giving to Donald Trump for establishing this, for Netanyahu for agreeing to it or whatever. And it's like, yeah, okay, like, good, I'm glad you did that, and I will gladly give you your flowers when you are standing trial at The Hague as a war criminal and facing the rest of your life in prison. Until, like, there's no justice until we see liberation, until we see people like Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, Bibi Netanyahu, and every other person, every other world leader who has been complicit. And now that there's a ceasefire, you know what the standard condition was in Gaza before the ceasefire? It was what Israel would do occasionally, where they called it mowing the lawn, where they would go in, kill 1,400 people. So October 7th sparked all of this. Yeah. You know how many October 7ths the people of Gaza had to endure before they ever committed an October 7th?
When do you start the conversation? Because if you start it in October 7th, you can paint the narrative in a certain light.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think Netanyahu is aware that the world is watching in a way that they weren't before.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that credit needs to be given to a lot of the protest movement and the movement on social media that has kind of galvanized the world in a way that is sort of akin to what happened in South Africa, right? So even for me personally, like when October 7th happened, I wasn't the most educated about what was going on in Israel and Palestine, but of course, you know, I have friends who are very passionate about this issue, so I'm having conversations. I'm seeing what's going on college campuses. I'm seeing all the atrocities that are happening on social media, and so as people are creating a conversation and as people are talking and people are protesting, somebody like myself is like, okay, let me actually do a little bit more digging. Let me ask the next question, you know, so to speak, and read and study and look at the history and not just think about what happened starting on October 7th, but what's been happening since Israel became quote unquote a nation after World War II.
Right.
And so I was watching a video from Dana White. I think one of my least favorite sports commentators, Robert Griffin III, was interviewing him, and he was talking about how protest is useless which, you know, it's Dana White, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised he would say something like that.
Right.
And, you know, I also thought about how after the first No Kings protest, there's going to be another one coming up, I think this Saturday. There was a lot of cynicism around the idea of protesting.
Yeah.
And people are like, what does protesting actually do? Dana White's like, protesting never does anything. Obviously, we know this is nonsense. But I think if we look at what's going on in Israel right now, you realize that the more people drum up attention and protest and put pressure on Netanyahu and post on social media, as a movement grows and people's consciousness is raised around this issue, you have a chance to do something different in the aftermath of this ceasefire, and something that may have not happened previously. And even, you know, Netanyahu's was talking about the TikTok deal that was brokered by Donald Trump, and he was very happy that the U.S. is going to have more of a say in what goes on in the algorithm, because he knows that as people posted and talked about what was happening in Gaza, public opinion was shifting. And so, you know, this honestly goes beyond what happened in Israel and Gaza. Obviously, this is a genocide, one of the worst wars that we've seen in our time, in our lifetime. But I think as we continue to see fascism on the rise in America, and people are becoming a little bit cynical about protests, we have to remember what's happened in Gaza, in the protest movement that changed the tide even a little bit, right? Like, of course, there's no guarantee that we'll reach liberation for Gaza, but we've done something. More pressure has been put on them.
Bro, that they want you to think that protesting doesn't do anything. They want you to think that posting on social media doesn't do anything. But listen, Netanyahu and Israel are paying creators $7,000 up to $7,000 a post.
So they care.
They care. There's videos of him talking about how important it is that they win the battle on social media.
Exactly.
But they want you to think like, when you post about this stuff, all you do is create division. All you do is create blah, blah, blah.
It doesn't matter, you know, you're not really doing anything.
No, it's hard to tell when something is effective if it prevented something worse from happening, because you never know.
Yeah, you don't know that.
You never know.
Factual, right?
You know, it's easy to see when something goes wrong because you see the immediate impact.
Right.
But it's hard to see the impact of a protest or of a post, you know, and sometimes it's just, it sparks something in one or two people that go on to do something.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the point is, you don't just go, oh, well, I guess there's nothing we can do, pack it in, take it home. And bro, you know what pisses me off, man, is, you know, we talk about like how upset they are at losing they're trying to not lose the information war, the social media war. I saw Van Jones, that disgusting little piggy. You're a disgusting little piggy, Van Jones. Don't at me, Van Jones. And please, somebody send this to him. You know, dude used to be like on the left. Dude used to be like a Maoist.
I saw a video of him in college.
Come on, man. You know, he went and got I saw a video of him. And maybe it's the same one you saw in college, where he was like, if we can't win this or we can't do this, we might as well cut our hair and go get corporate jobs. That's what you thought happened, huh, Van?
It was a personal prophecy.
That's exactly right. You thought like, oh, we're not making any progress here. Might as well sell out. You fucking sell out. Sorry. Anyways,
hey, we got you jacked up.
We
today.
got a beat.
All right.
But he was on Bill Maher out here talking nonsense about like, he was Van Jones was like saying that all of the images that we're seeing, all the things we're really seeing with our real eyes, are propaganda from Iran.
Yeah, and he was joking about it.
He was laughing. Well, he was being serious, but he was laughing about it and making jokes about it.
Yeah, what did he say? Dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby. That's what you're seeing on social media. And then did he? And he smiled and laughed, and the crowd laughed.
Yeah.
As if this is a joking matter.
Tells you what kind of people are in the crowd there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, it's you know, so much is going on, and you know, every ounce of resistance matters. Yeah. Like, you know, I forget who it is who wrote that book called On Tyranny, where like the first principle is don't
comply.
Yeah.
Comply in advance.
Don't comply in advance.
Yeah, that's something we have to remember.
And that's what Dana White wants you to do. Exactly. He's like, oh, protesting doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
Don't comply in advance.
He literally said, when has protesting ever done anything?
Yeah. Well, you know what that comment is? That's a protest against protesting. What are you trying to accomplish, you dumb mother?
And there was people at his company that were protesting. That's why he's mad, right?
Yes.
It's out of self-interest, and obviously he's in alignment with the political party right now that is being protested.
And he's mad that he doesn't have more control over the people that work for him, because he has people that work for him that are protesting.
Yeah, I mean, you know that people are in fear at what's going on and what's being galvanized because they're saying things like that. Like Mike Johnson said that the No Kings protest is being put on by Antifa, pro-Hamas, and the communists. When you go out and look at No Kings, a lot of the people are not even that politically engaged. They just know that what's happening in the White House right now is unacceptable.
Yes.
And so they want to drum up this narrative that you're Antifa, we're going to come after you, we're going to dismantle you. Like you said, the goal is to comply in advance. And honestly, over the past couple weeks, I've started to become a little bit more hopeful. One, from having conversations and taking action, but also from seeing that these people are saying the most outlandish, incendiary, incredible things. And I think it's because they know they have nothing else. That's all they can do, because people are seeing through what's happening right now. Yeah. And so they're scared. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. Yeah. And bro, another thing on like the protests don't do anything. You know what one thing that protests do accomplish is they engender within everybody who attends a resistance to indifference towards injustice. Yeah. And it engenders within everybody who's there and people who see it happen a desire and a sense that maybe we can do something, maybe we can fight back, maybe we can continue to resist. And I, you know what I relate it to is a lot like going to like youth conferences as a kid or youth congresses. You might say that doesn't matter. Well, why do denominations put them on? Why do church groups put these big conferences and events on? Because they know they got to do something to light you up.
Galvanize you to do something once you leave.
Exactly. You know, there's a saying in like sales organizations and stuff where you go to big conferences and stuff, which is that big decisions are made at big events. And protests are like the big events of the people who are standing up against oppression. When you go to them, a lot of people make big decisions within themselves that they're going to be committed. They find, and it's also a good place to find community and to build solidarity and connection and build a movement. And so, to anybody trying to dismiss that, like Dana White, I mean, God bless you, like.
I mean, his life has been improved because of protesting. Like, there's a lot of things that have happened in American history that he benefits from because of protesting. So it's frustrating to me to have people that are so ahistorical and so misinformed that they don't understand their own history. And we're going to get into a little bit more of that later on. But
they even serve to provide like narratives for the group. Like, look, the Boston Tea Party. Think about the place that serves as a narrative in American history. But when you study the Boston Tea Party, it's actually nothing like it, like how we understand it. But it creates an event around which you can create a narrative, right, to shape and form like what you're trying to accomplish. I think that's important for movements to have.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for protesting and resistance, there would be no America, right? Right. So at the end of the day, we have to remember our own history.
Yeah, resistance is futile. Yeah. Who said that? Terminator, somebody like that.
Somebody said it, yeah.
Some evil villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what Dana White's saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, all right, bro. So the next question is, we got Bad Bunny coming up.
Absolutely.
At the Super Bowl.
Yep, on the heels of Kendrick.
I'm fired up. I can't wait to hear him do his song Best on May. Yeah. No, I'm just playing. That's somebody else.
I was like, bro, I'm still getting up to speed. He said you got 4 months to learn Spanish. I'm taking my 4 months.
I was just having my Justin Bieber moment where he was like Dorito, burrito. I don't know if you remember that whole thing.
No,
okay, we don't need to get into that. Bieber messed up. But so we got Bad Bunny coming to the Super Bowl, and white racist evangelical Christians are pissed off.
Very pissed off.
Very pissed off.
And so one of the mascots for that movement is Turning Point USA.
Right.
Founded by he who will not be named today. They decided that they're going to put on their own halftime show. So Bad Bunny posted a tweet, or posted an X, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I heard somebody call them excretions.
Oh no.
I think it was David Packman that said that.
Hilarious.
But he put out a tweet and said, you have 4 months to learn Spanish so you can sing along with me at the Super Bowl. And then Turning Point USA quoted it and said, we're going to not do that. We're going to have our own pro-USA Super Bowl halftime show. And there was another clip that I thought was hilarious. It was Crystal Ball talking to Tommy Lauren.
Oh, yeah.
And Tommy asked her about what she thought about Bad Bunny being at the Super Bowl and shouldn't they have an American perform at the Super Bowl. And then Crystal Ball just with straight face said, he's Puerto Rican. That's an American territory.
Yeah.
But this is what people think, right? Like in 2025, we are so uninformed that we think Puerto Rico is not a part of the USA because they speak a different language.
Right.
But anyways, I thought it would be fun to do a little thought experiment, right? So they have their own lineup. I think they had Ted Nugent. Who else was going to be headlining? Kid Rock.
Oh, they really got the headline out?
Yeah, they released their headliners. I know those two. I don't think I know anybody else.
Okay.
His name was on that list. He'll fit right in. But yeah, so what we want to do is we've got a top 5 rappers that Turning Point USA will have perform at their halftime show.
Okay, top 5 rappers.
Top 5 rappers.
All right.
So I got a list. I think you got a list.
I got a list.
I'll go first and give my, this is not going to be in any particular order, but the first rapper that came to mind to me that performed at this halftime show was Snoop D-O-double-G.
Oh no,
now,
Uncle Snoop.
Uncle Snoop. Now, Snoop, if you don't know, he was a pretty vehement critic of Trump in his first term, right? But I think what turned the tide for him was, I think there was a exec at Death Row Records that Trump pardoned. He pardoned a couple other people too. And then and Snoop was like, well, Trump never did anything wrong to me. So in 2024, he performed at the inauguration weekend.
That's right.
Honestly, Snoop Dogg just been, if you present the bag, it seemed like Snoop Dogg was in for it.
Didn't he get a shitcoin bag too?
I think he did that.
Trump, something like that.
Something like that. I don't know. He was the mascot for the Olympics. I see him on every other commercial. So it seemed like, no offense to Uncle Snoop, but I think if they needed somebody, he might be on their short list. Okay. So who you got first?
Okay, so Uncle Snoop. So are we gonna go back and forth?
Yeah, go back and forth.
All right, so
give me your first one.
My number one was TobyMac, the original Christian rap diplomat.
TobyMac is the corniest rapper.
Bro, that's why he's headlining the TPUSA halftime Super Bowl.
Even when I was listening to Christian rap, I would never listen to freaking Toby. Even that was too corny for me.
Oh,
back in the day.
Dude, who was your big favorite Christian rapper? Because I was like a more like, gospel gangsters.
See, they were too old. That was before my time. I know who they are, but that was a little bit before my time. So I came up, it was Lecrae. Lecrae was cool. He was mainstream. There was a dude named Swoop that was very lyrical. I was listening to some actually throwback. I looked on my Spotify, saw some old Christian hip hop I had on my playlist. Like, let me go back in time. There was The Truth from Philly. Yeah. Ambassadors, also a Philly guy. Yeah. I thought they were pretty good.
You can't leave my boy Fanatic out of there.
Fanatic, bro. Fanatic. He was a little bit before my time too, but I still listen to him a little bit. Cross movement from Philly. So those are some of those guys.
Shout out to my boy Brady Goodwin.
Yeah, Brady. Shout out to Brady. But yeah, those are some of the guys I listen to.
Yo, Brady's kind of like the godfather of the show a little bit, because I would have never even tried to get on camera if he didn't invite me to come and talk on his podcast.
Shout out Brady, man.
Yeah, shout out Brady.
Yeah, I listened to, when I was in my deconstruction journey, I was tapping into his show as well. So definitely, he's got an influence on the show for sure.
So TobyMac, right? Yep. I say he could perform at a church revival, a Republican fundraiser, or a middle school pep rally with the same exact set. So he's good.
TobyMac got to retire, man. I just looked it up. This dude's 60 years old. He got to retire, bro. Yeah, bro. He's still putting out music.
He's still got music?
He put out a single in 2025.
No.
Yes.
What is he talking about?
I mean, I don't know. It sounds like the same stuff I've been hearing from TobyMac for 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so TobyMac is number one for you. Let me go to my second person. So let's go with next. I'm going to go with Lil Wayne, Young Money. So Lil Wayne, especially at the end of the Obama administration, beginning of the Trump administration, he had some questionable interviews. He's been struggling, man. He was asked about racism in the midst of the Black Lives Matter movement. He said, I've never dealt with racism.
I remember.
They asked him what he thinks about Black Lives Matter. Specifically, he said, I'm young, black, and rich, therefore Black Lives Matter. So I think that would very much be in alignment with Turning Point USA's narrative. He had like one white cop be nice to him or something like that, right? Know. He told a story, he had like this one white cop be nice to him, and now he's basically like a race traitor. Oh my God, yeah. So he said some questionable things. He's posted with DJT on social media, and he was actually pardoned by Trump. I don't know if you remember that. He got caught with drug charges towards the end of the Trump administration. Not drug charges, gun charges. Let me get that right. And Trump, on one of his last days in office, pardoned Lil Wayne, and again, there was a part of some of his pardon. So I think because of some of the narrative that he's spewed about black people and Black Lives Matter, I think they might tap him in for.
Oh, easy to be up there.
Turning Point USA. Yeah. Who you got next?
Dude, now all I'm doing in my brain right now is like doing apologetics rewriting. You remember that Christian band Apologetics? They would like make Christian versions of like.
No, bro. I don't think I know.
Brittany and Jennifer Lowe trying to hold on to itty bitty clothes.
They were rapping like that?
Yeah.
See, there's levels to corny Christian rap. I'll tell you that. Even when I was a kid and I was listening to it, I don't know what it was, but I was like, there's levels to this. Like Christian rap is corny in general, but there's levels to corny.
They were trying to be like Christian non-parody parody.
This sounds like a parody, bro. Wow.
Okay. But yes, but I'm like rewriting all Lil Wayne songs in my head right now. Like, I'm a love Jesus like a lollipop.
Yeah, that stuff they be doing, man. That's crazy. That's crazy work, bro.
I'm a love Jesus like a lollipop.
Yo, that's nuts.
Bro, I'm not gonna get that out of my head all day.
I'm gonna be thinking about that when I go to sleep.
Oh my God. Okay.
That's wild.
My number 2 for the Turning Point USA halftime show is capitalism's mascot 50 Cent.
50. Okay. I can see 50.
He's, because one, I think 50 will do anything for the bag.
Okay.
2, like I said, he's capitalism's mascot, right? So, like 50 will rap about ownership, generational wealth, sell a masterclass on it after the show.
And he might be, Kirk said rap was degenerate. He might be too degenerate for that crowd.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think they're really letting.
I know. None of these dudes are gonna be there.
If it was gonna be a rapper, like these people don't even believe rap is real music.
It's not real music. It didn't make Western civilization great.
Right.
So.
What did Ben Shapiro said that it doesn't have melody? He's like it only has rhythm.
God.
It doesn't have melody.
And same people said Beyonce's music is terrible.
Right.
They have no taste.
See, I think if they were gonna have it there, I think honestly, if they could baptize him before the show, if they could baptize 50 Cent as like a part of the halftime show.
Oh yeah, they would have him.
They would have him.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. This one's gonna be short for me. Young Thug.
Okay.
Now, Young Thug. I'm just gonna say this. If you listen to Young Thug's newest album and you listen to the first song on the album, you will know exactly why I'm putting Young Thug on this list, and that's all I'm gonna say.
No slime.
That's all I'm gonna say.
No.
Nah, go ahead, bro.
No, not slime, dude. Oh my gosh. Okay. Number 3 for me, the living embodiment of brand synergy.
Okay. Pitbull, that's a safe pick.
Pitbull, right?
I think that's a safe pick. He never said nothing controversial.
Would shout out both Jesus and Jeff Bezos in the same breath.
For sure. Pay him enough money, he gonna make it sound good. It's gonna flow.
I put, if capitalism was a religion, Pitbull would be the worship leader.
Absolutely, and they could easily say, he's Latino, but he speaks in English. So.
Yes, they love.
Is he Cuban? He's Cuban?
He's something. No, dude, this might be offensive.
I know
isn't he white?
Gonna cancel me. Is he?
He might be white. No, he's probably not. I don't know.
Pitbull is Cuban. That's right.
Okay,
that's what I thought.
All right. Forgive me.
All right, so we got 2 more. I got 2 more. Second to last, I'm gonna go with. They're gonna hate me for this. Drizzy Drake. Now, hear me out.
He's there, bro.
Hear me out. Drizzy Drake is not an American. Number 1, he's Canadian. But I think after what happened in 2024 between him and K-Dot, it just would make sense, right? Like Kendrick performs at the Super Bowl. Drake is mad that he's not performing at the Super Bowl. So Turning Point's like, yo, we got you. Come perform at our event. So I obviously the beef, he kind of exposed himself, but he said some crazy things like, he said, I think one of the diss tracks, he said Kendrick was rapping like he's trying to get the slaves free. I think he lost a lot of black folks with lines like that. And then the whole suing Kendrick over the beef thing.
Yeah.
Like, bro, if that's not the whitest way to end a rap beef, I don't know what it is.
You see a judge just dismiss that case?
They did dismiss it, thankfully.
They dismissed the case.
Yeah, and he's friends with Aiden Ross. I feel like
he's friends with Aiden Ross. That's the Trump connection.
He's got to end with that crowd, so I'm putting Drake on this list.
He's trying to keep that list secret, you know what I'm
saying? he said, let me get that Epstein treatment.
Yeah, dude.
Let me keep my stuff secret like you kept his.
Kendrick was feeling tough last year because, he was thinking, they're going to release the list.
Yeah.
And Drake, allegedly.
Allegedly.
I'm not saying Drake is on the Epstein list.
We're going to put a disclaimer. Allegedly. Okay, who you got? Second to last.
Okay, number 4, Flo Rida. Okay.
Flo Rida. Okay.
Because Flo Rida to me is like the
also
safest, most corporate,
Pitbull.
Corporate rapper alive. I think if you got a stage and a crowd and a budget, he'll be there. Play Good Feeling with confetti dropping down in American flag colors.
Absolutely.
Flo Rida.
2010s. I think he was the Drake before Drake. Just every pop rap song, I feel like Flo Rida was on it. Him and Pitbull. Okay, so last but certainly not least, and it pains me to say this because growing up, I was a stan, not just a fan, I was a stan of this artist. It's Mr. Kanye West.
Oh no,
Mr. Red Hat wearing Kanye West. There's so many things I could say that would get Kanye on this list, but I think it's a little bit too late for him. In 2019, you remember that album he put out, Jesus is King?
Yeah.
He was the evangelical darling for maybe like 6 months to a year, and then he put out a gospel album, Sunday Service. That was actually a good album. The Jesus King album, that was his worst album.
Yeah, well, there was a couple redeeming moments on it.
On which one?
On Jesus King.
You think so? Which one?
Just a couple of redeem. It's been a long time.
Closed on Sunday. You my Chick-fil-A.
bro, TPUSA people love.
They love that, bro. And I was in the evangelical space at that time. They was posting, "Welcome to the family," Kanye West. Yes. They was eating that up, and I mean, I was holding on at that point. He had already put on a red hat. Van Lathan had already came at his neck. I was like, dang, I was holding on for dear life. But
bro, I used to be like,
terrible.
You know, the chapter of the head of my local chapter of the Kanye Defense League.
Oh wow!
And,
me too, man. I feel bad.
We went through some rough times.
I feel bad now. I want to take all that shit back. Yeah. But anyway, so he obviously 2019 he put out that album. He came to Christ. He's still friends with Candace Owens, close ally of the late Charlie Kirk. Obviously, he said crazy things like slavery is a choice. Met with Trump on many occasions. So I think Kanye's number one for me on this list. 2019 Kanye, maybe not 2025. So after the Alex Jones Nazi rant that he went on,
dude,
I think he's out of there.
Is nonstop.
Yeah,
with Yeezy, and I thought you were gonna pick him, so I went with somebody else.
Okay, yeah.
And this isn't because I think they would have him, but as with all of mine, it was kind of like, who do I think would be eager to take the offer?
Okay.
And I can't really explain this, but Nelly.
Nelly? Didn't Nelly perform at the inauguration with Snoop Dogg?
He might have.
I think he did.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I think that's a good pick. I could see it. Dudes that are past their prime just need a little check.
Yeah, you know.
He's still performing, and Nelly 50 at this point.
I could see Nelly at a mega church barbecue. Just perform, like coming out with songs.
The youth pastor would be dapping him up, trying to be cool on his Carl Lentz tip.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious. So I like your list, man. That was a good list.
It's getting hot in here. You better save your soul. I am getting so hot. I'm gonna give my life to Christ.
Oh man, bro, you killing me with these songs.
Bro.
You killing me with these songs. Okay, that was cool. That was a good segment. Let's go to the next question. I'm gonna ask you.
All right.
The next question is, why is there a black church?
Ooh.
And why are we asking that question? You sent me a little clip the other day, and I think we're gonna watch it here in a second. But there was a pastor of a church in Australia who had some choice words for Pastor Jamal Bryant.
Mm-hmm. Her name is like Maleficent or something like that.
Something like that.
All right, roll clip.
Jamal Bryant, he's a false prophet. He said, I'm concerned by all these Negro preachers who've been talking about this man, Charlie, that was killed.
They having moments of silence in black churches all over the country over a man that was
a racist and a white supremacist. How dare you compare him to Martin Luther King? The only thing that Charlie Kirk and Martin Luther King got in common is both of them were killed by a white man. Notice how many times he brings up skin color. 4 times. Why are you bringing up skin color so much? It's ethnic idolatry. You are more concerned with the color of people's skin than you are with the truth that they speak. You are more loyal to your tribe and your race and your ethnicity than you are to the people of God. You can't say that, Millie. You're a little white girl. You think that my authority comes from my skin color or my stature? My authority to speak comes from the word of God. And you know what I didn't like at all? The fact that he called it black churches. Black churches? Like, what is that? Are we bringing segregation back? That's a very weird thing to say. This is not a white church. This is a church of Jesus Christ. How dare you divide the body of Christ by skin color? We are united by one thing, that's the blood of Jesus Christ. I don't care what your skin color is. I care about who you believe in and who is your God. You better believe in heaven. There's not going to be a black section singing gospel songs and a white section with the organ. There's not going to be any segregation in heaven. We're not going to be split up by skin color. We are united by the blood of Christ. If you don't want to unite over common values and the fact that we worship one God, if you don't want to unite over that and you care more about skin color, you're not in this body to begin with. Jamal, he needs to repent of this ethnic idolatry and dividing the body by skin color.
Dang, bro.
That was crazy.
That was crazy.
I honestly, I just can't believe somebody would say that. Bro, in 2025.
Bro, she starts off saying the N-word, dog.
I don't even want to say what she said, man. Bro. You know that's a white church because the whole elder board, whatever, everybody's white. Because if you had a black person on staff at that church, they would pull you to the side and they'll rip you off that damn stage talking that ignorant and crazy about a black pastor.
I think you need at least 2 or 3 because they probably got one.
Yeah, you're right. It might be Candace Owens.
Yeah, they got somebody over there. I seen some people say some crazy stuff trying to fit in.
I mean, you're right.
Yeah. But no, that's absolutely crazy. And my little cousin posted that video on Facebook.
Unironically?
Unironically.
Okay.
Being like, wow, what a great point. And I love them to death, and I don't normally comment on any family member's stuff, like politically.
Sure.
You know, I really don't even use Facebook like that.
Sure.
But it was real early in the morning. I wasn't even in my right mind yet. I'm making oatmeal for my kids, and I comment like, "Nah, dog, she got everything here wrong."
Everything.
And he's like, "Oh, really? How so?" You know, he's like not challenging me. He's like,
just curious.
Teach me, like, you know. And I told him, I was like, I'll talk about it on my podcast.
There you go. Shameless plug.
We'll make a video about it. And but I think for a lot of people like him, like a young white kid from Texarkana, right, from Arkansas, Texas border, basically, who grew up in a church community where they viewed it as multiracial, which really just means it was like white with like some black people in it. Yeah. And where there was a big to-do about this being a place where there's racial unity. And, you know, his grandmother, my aunt, is, you know, the head of the New York chapter for the Moonies. I don't know if you ever heard of.
No,
it's like one of the biggest cults in the world.
Oh,
like if you talk to your parents about it, like everybody in the 80s and 90s, So they call themselves the Unification Church, but it's based in Korea. They follow this guy, Reverend Sun Young Moon, who was like another incarnation, begotten Son of God that came to finish what Jesus started, basically. Okay. Anyways, he's dead now. They follow Mother Moon. Yeah, it's still going.
Gotcha. That's how the cults work. So
exactly. But so that whole movement is about racial reconciliation, and so there's a lot to do about, you know, they try to get white people involved, they try to get black people involved, they try to get, you know, people from all these different race backgrounds together. So a kid like him growing up in that context, or really any American kid that grew up in a context where they were told that we're in a post-racial world. I can understand how from that limited framework, they don't have the perspective to see what's wrong with that video that we just watched.
Absolutely.
Which a lot's wrong.
Everything
with that video
is wrong.
We just watched.
I don't think you could be more wrong.
I don't think you could either, right? And because there's just like a lot of assumptions they come to the table with. But so the next question, you're supposed to ask me. Yeah. I'm gonna flip the table. I want to ask you because I think it would actually be crazy for me to be the first person to answer this question.
Fair enough. Okay.
Which is, why is there a black church?
That's a great question. But the question we should ask is, why is there a white church? And I think the illusion and the
keep going.
No. But the problem with asking the question, is there a black church, is there's only a black church because there was a white church first.
Right.
So if you look at the history of American Christianity and the relationship between black and white Christians, in the 1800s, there was a lot of churches in America, and black people at that time, before there was emancipation, were either meeting in secret a lot of times, or they would go to church with the master's family, right? And when you go to a church as a slave, most of the time you are not given equal status in that church. So they had sections for the white people, which is the main section, and the black people had to sit in a different section. Right. So I think the people back then probably would have a similar sentiment to this lady who spoke in this TikTok or Reels video, is that they don't see their church as a white church.
Right.
But it clearly is a white church when there is a hierarchy between white congregants and black congregants. Yes. So what happened was the AME, American Methodist Episcopal Church, that was the first black denomination in America, was started by a couple pastors who said, we are no longer going to be second-class citizens in the body of Christ. So they said, we're going to create our own church so that we can have dignity and have equal status as children of God in the church. Right. But so for me, I grew up in a church that was technically multi-ethnic, right? So before, you know, my family got there, even maybe my grandmother was there at the time, but it was founded by some Italians. It was a charismatic, non-denominational church, right, in a neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio, right? But by the time I'm growing up in the church, the neighborhood demographics had gone from predominantly white to predominantly non-white. And so the church oftentimes reflects the community that it's in. That's why we call these churches a lot of times local churches. Right. So when you're in a community where the demographics are a certain way, a lot of times the church reflects that. So if you are asking the question, why is there a black church, you should also ask, why are there black only communities? Yes. And especially in America, and this lady's not even American. No. So she needs to study American history a little bit to understand, in a city like Chicago or a city like New York or different cities across the world, there are communities that are segregated. right? And there's a real history behind this. A lot of times, especially in a city like Chicago and cities across the country, there's a thing called redlining where black families were not allowed to get homes in a certain area. There's also sociological realities like white flight. When black families move into a neighborhood, white people move out. 100%. So all these things contribute to the way churches are populated, right? And I could talk about this from so many different angles. So there's the sociological, there's the historical, what happened and where the black church came from. But then there's also just the beauty and the dignity that the black church has, right?
Absolutely.
You have a tradition of music, you have a tradition of preaching, you have the civil rights movement that's done so much to empower black people, to
empower all of us.
Exactly, really. To empower all of us, to push forward. Honestly, what a lot of people would say would be the true spirit of America came at a time in the 60s and 50s and 70s from the black church. And so for someone to say something as disrespectful as what this woman said, it's frustrating to me, but it also resonates because I've been in spaces where that sentiment maybe wasn't said quite with that level of boldness, but it puts the onus on the black person or the black Christian to teach and give context for why the church in America is the way it is, when the reality is a white person at a white church doesn't see that their church is white, but then wants to chastise a black pastor for calling out racism in a black church.
Come on, man. Come on. And you can tell, one, like, all you need to know, guys, to know something is sus and something is wrong with what she's saying in that video is, like I said in the beginning, she starts off dropping the N-word in a clip.
She says Negro, which ain't that much better, but she says Negro.
Yeah, come on. She
Not the full
N-word. She knows
N-word.
she can't say that.
She can't say that either.
Am I about to say it right now?
Yeah,
what
she
am I supposed
absolutely
to call it?
can't.
The N-word.
Yeah, you're right. She can't. You're right. You can't say that. I would never give you permission to say that either. There's two N-words though. Yeah. She didn't say that one, but she said one of them. It's close enough.
Right. And so one, she starts off saying the N-word.
Yeah.
Number two, you can tell she's never spent any time in a black church because she tried to paint it as a hateful thing and a divisive thing. Yeah. There is no place in America or the world today where a white person is more welcome and celebrated than in a black church. All right, as a white dude that grew up in a lot of black church spaces, I can tell you that beyond the shadow of a doubt, right? Mm-hmm. All my dad had to do is get up and walk into a black church and boom, he's Bishop White Chocolate. You know what I'm saying? Like they want you to be a part. They want reconciliation.
And the irony is, most of the time, your dad is an exception to the rule, because most of the time when racial reconciliation is talked about, it's a white space culturally with the leadership that black people are asked to come into.
100%. And that's kind of like the first part of like when I'm reflecting on this video, I'm thinking about whiteness as a theological hegemony, as like a ruling ideology. Because, you know, it's interesting, you talked about there wouldn't be a black church if there wasn't first a white church. But you know what's interesting is today we talk about the black church, but we don't talk about the white church. And people think that means, like with the girl in this video and my little cousin think, it's like, well, we don't call it a white church. You would get so mad if we call it the white church. Why are you calling it the black church? The problem is we don't call it the white church because we don't have to.
We don't have to.
It just is that.
It is.
Whiteness is the hegemonic ideology that underpins American Christianity. And it was reminding me of a book by a theologian from Harvard named Willie James Jennings.
Yeah, shout out to Willie.
And Willie James Jennings has a book called The Christian Imagination, right? Where he says that Western Christianity built itself through a colonial lens that merged salvation, civilization, and whiteness into one moral order. And so this produced what you call theological whiteness, which what theological whiteness is, all this simply is the belief that to be good, to be rational, or to be orderly is to align with white cultural forms and sensibilities.
Absolutely.
And so it made me think about this video that's kind of going viral on the internet. I don't know if you saw it, from this white pastor.
Let's say that somebody was coming into our church and they're black, and would they be eligible for membership in our church? Yes, they of course they would. They'd be eligible for membership in our church. But would they be permitted to participate in, embody, and practice what I would call black culture generally in our church? The answer is absolutely not. Why? Because the characteristics that mark black culture as a generalization, in the same way Paul's talking about Cretans on Crete, they are evil, murderous, violent, bestial people. They steal, they kill, they destroy. They are sinful to the core. They have besetting sins that are like fatherlessness, sexual immorality. They molest children at a high rate. All of any criminal statistic that you could look at, almost pretty much without exception, they excel at them. Black culture. And when you think about it, you look at that culture and you say, what are the besetting sins and characteristics of it? And then you say, could somebody come in a lawful church membership embodying that culture? No, they have to self-consciously repudiate that culture.
Bro, he like straight goes into it. Yeah. And you know, he's saying the thing out loud that most people would never say. Yeah. And that is that unless most of these multicultural racial churches, yeah, like you're only allowed to bring your blackness into the space in a way that is mascoty.
Absolutely.
In a way that's like cultural, like through blackness is often welcome as a flavor, like music, emotion, testimony, but not as an authority, like a doctrine or hermeneutic, a way of understanding the text in Christian history and tradition, or in leadership vision. And so unity, like what my cousin's talking about, what she's talking about that in that video about like unity in the church, is really just a code for assimilation.
Absolutely.
And it's a demand for black members to mute their anger, their cultural expression, and their theological distinctiveness. Yeah. And it's a way for the white church to not have to truly repent for what it's done, not just in slavery, but not just in Jim Crow, but ever since, to not actually have to face up to the harm that it's brought on our black brothers and sisters. Yeah. And so they want to, I did a video on TikTok and Insta about this, that like one of the greatest sins of the white church is like the inability to repent for theological whiteness. And I think, bro, that, you know, because it can be like, okay, well, I see why the black church existed back then. This is because I've been privy to a lot of these conversations with around white people. And it's like, you can get them to the place where they can see why the black church existed in the past. Yep. But like, why does it exist now? Why does it still matter? And for me, it's because the black church is one of the few spaces where black spiritual authority is not conditional on white approval.
Yes.
And that it allows the black Christian imagination to flourish apart from surveillance and respectability politics of the white ecclesial structure.
Yeah. I think my question would be for someone who asked, why does a black church still matter, is what would you do to make the church multi-ethnic?
Right.
Because ultimately the church exists in communities.
Yes.
And so if you want to change the way that the church looks in a given community, first you're going to have to change the community. Because if you're not equipped to live in a community that's predominantly black, if you're not equipped to serve the people in that community, then you shouldn't come to the community and you shouldn't expect your church to reflect that community.
Yes, bro, 100%.
And if you're not willing to, and honestly, your point is correct, because I've been and worked in spaces where this conversation would happen. I worked in parachurch organizations where there was this call constantly for racial reconciliation. We would have conversation after conversation, and the onus was most of the time on myself and my black friends and peers to teach white people about race and racism.
Right.
And over the course of years, I became more and more frustrated because it wasn't connecting. And the more work I did, it seemed the more frustrated I became, because I didn't realize how far away we actually were.
Right.
And I think that's the point that is missed in this video, is that if you want to have reconciliation, I can walk 5 steps towards you, but a lot of times when I walk 5 steps towards you, you run 10 steps back. That's what happened in America in 2016. We had this idea that Barack Obama was healing us and we're gonna have a post-racial society, and it felt like we were coming together. But really what happened was white people ran 25 steps back in the other direction. That's
exactly right.
Because what was going on is not just about a conversation. It was about trauma, racial trauma. I was reading this book, Healing Racial Trauma, actually. And
I have it on the TBR.
It opened my eyes to how much in our psyche racism is and lives, and a lot of the conversations we have are going to continue to be futile until we deal with our limbic system. And I say we, but really I think black people, we have no choice because we've been dealing with this trauma since we've been enslaved. But a lot of times white people don't realize how instinctual racism is, how traumatic being an oppressor is, and how when you have these conversations about race that we try to have and bring reconciliation, people are too triggered, their limbic system is too activated for them to realize that, for them to actually like accept and repent and turn away.
They go lizard brain.
The lizard brain turns on, they get defensive and they push away from the table when there's an opportunity for actual reconciliation. And so until we deal with, I mean, there's so many levels we have to deal with this on, but I've become more convinced until we deal with it on a psychological level, we can't have any other conversation because we show up with our psychology when we talk about race.
It makes me think about, I heard somebody say that the black church doesn't exist to exclude others, but it exists to free everyone from the captivity of whiteness, even white people included. That it functions like a site of resistance where the gospel can be like spoken or re-articulated in the key of liberation, joy, and communal solidarity. Because, I promise you, like, as a white person in a black Christian space, you can feel it differently. I talk about in one of my videos before, even the difference in music. And the way that it's sung and what it's sung about. Like a lot of white music, Christian music, I call it colonial lullabies. It's just designed to put you asleep, to make you feel good. It's like it's all designed around making you feel good. Like when do you leave church and you say church was good? When you in a white church is when you felt good in that moment. But in order for and what's interesting, for white people to feel good, you can never be reminded. It's exactly what you talked about. Like kicks in that, if anything kicks in that limbic system, that fear expression or that sense of guilt, if it triggers a sense of guilt, because there's a lack of repentance, because of all of that, it doesn't allow them to experience anything. It cuts them off from an experience of joy when they're confronted with the reality of situation. So just put them to sleep. Whereas when you can contrast that with, you listen to a lot of music and you listen to some Fred Hammond, and it's going to be different. It's going to be rooted in like overcoming. Even Israel Houghton, Alive in South Africa, which by the way, you can listen to that album, bro, as from like a white church perspective, and it sounds like a prosperity gospel.
I remember hearing that.
You listen to that album from the context of it's being sung alive in South Africa with thousands of people who just survived apartheid.
Yes.
And you talk about take the limits off. Take the limits off. That has a completely different context in the black church. But see, you could sing that song in a white church and it does nothing but it does not liberate you. What it actually does is it entraps you to a capitalistic materialist mindset, not materialist in the Marxist sense, but materialistic mindset. Right? Take the limits off. I want more. God, gimme. But when it's sung in a black church context, it changes. And so the black church doesn't just exist as a space for black people. It exists as a space to liberate all of Christianity. And I just want to say there's a quote from James Cone. Where he says, the black church is the evidence that black people believed in their own humanity before America ever did. That's powerful.
That's powerful, man.
That's powerful.
All right. So our last topic of the week is our book of the week, but we're going to ask this question that'll lead us in the discussion for the book. So the question is, should all Christians be leftists?
Yes. Boom.
Close the book.
Episode done.
We're done.
Wrap it up. Okay. And so this is from a book.
The book is titled Why Christians Should Be Leftists.
Why Christians Should Be Leftists, from Phil Christman. Now, Phil is, I just discovered him. And I'm like, I read his book. I read it that night. And I'm like, who the is Phil Christman? And why is he smarter than me and a better writer than me and better at communicating all the things I want to communicate to people? But he's actually a lecturer of the English department at University of Michigan. So that's why.
That'll do it.
That's not why, but that like explains it. He is good. He's an essayist. He's been called one of America's best essayists. He's written a few other books that I want to get to, but he has this book called Why Christians Should Be Leftists. And bro, I'm so pumped that you read it, so we can actually talk about it here, because I think this is a book that is not a book that is going to like sway Christians on the right. No. Maybe some, but not really. But it is a book that I think can really heal the misunderstandings and miscommunications, or lack of any communications, with liberals, evangelical liberals, ex-evangelical liberals, about what is the difference between being a liberal and a leftist. Because, bro, for me, like my experience, before we even get into the book, I was a right winger. Like, as I was a passionate right winger. You were just a kid. Yeah, I was like 17, but like I was like,
At that time,
I was serious.
Was that Bush?
Yeah, that was Bush.
Okay.
And so, I was a Zionist, and I knew what these things meant, and I believed them. I could defend them. You know what I mean? I was an aspiring evangelical, televangelist, Pentecostal preacher, and so when I got to college, and I was confronted with Christians in my dorm who were going to vote for these people, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, that I'd only vaguely heard of. I didn't even think it'd be important to learn about Democratic candidates. I didn't even know that Christians could be Democrat at all. I didn't know that was a thing. And I remember going into this guy named Michael Romero. We called him Mike Rome. He was like our mentor. Like when we were young, he was like a junior or senior. And he was the head chaplain on our floor, student chaplain. We went to his room. He had a Hillary and an Obama poster. And I was like, is this a joke? Like, what are you doing, right? But bro, it really expanded my mindset. But throughout the next 4 years, I thought I was becoming a radical leftist. But I was just becoming like a pretty conservative liberal. And I just thought that because something was disruptive or discordant with my more conservative upbringing, that it was actually really far left. And it wasn't until probably towards the beginning of COVID that I was able to really see some of the differences or the incongruencies between some of the more leftist tendencies and sensibilities I developed with what I was seeing in the Democratic Party and liberals in general. And I started getting exposed to more leftist content creators, in which served as an open doorway to kind of get in. For me, it was like David Pakman and Kyle Kalinske, who are liberal. I mean, I wouldn't call Kyle a straight up liberal. I wouldn't slander him like that. But Pakman is very much a liberal, but he's a little bit further left on the liberal scale. So that was like my entry point into getting. And so what took me, bro, years of developing. This dude in one book I'm telling you guys, it's a 4-hour book. He will do that for you in 4 hours.
Brilliant.
So tell me what you think. What did you think of the book?
So I thought a lot of things about the book. I think the thing that I wish I would have had the book in 2021.
Yes.
Because
same.
My background, I'm black, so I don't think it's pretty hard. Some people do it, but my family, we wasn't no black Republicans.
Right.
So I grew up.
Okay, interesting.
Democrat by default, right? The first time I had any political consciousness was Barack Obama's election.
Right.
I got an Obama t-shirt, going to school with the Obama t-shirt. So, jubilant celebration. I didn't know anything about policy, right?
Yeah.
But that's just kind of, your point, you said you couldn't imagine Christians voting Democrat at the time.
Yeah.
I could, because my family, we Christian, we vote Democrat, and that's a lot of black Christians have that experience.
Now, you were in a multiracial church environment?
Yep.
And so that's white hegemony. And so
yes, but it wasn't. It was, but it wasn't.
Okay.
So from my perspective as a kid, most of the kids and the mentors for kids was black.
Okay.
So I think if I was an adult at the time, I probably would have felt more.
Was it a white pastor?
Yeah, it was a white pastor, and then we had a black youth pastor / worship leader. But still, if I was an adult, I don't think they would have been happy about me maybe having an Obama shirt on.
Got it.
But as a kid, I'm not thinking about that. Everybody, the people I'm around, a lot of my black mentors are black, so there's no cognitive dissonance for me in that period of time. But as I started to learn more, I had a very crisscrossed, confused, schizophrenic, political, ideological development, right? So I'm Obama era, of course I'm rocking with Obama. Then I'm listening to Lupe Fiasco, who's at the time a lot more far left than any other rapper in the 2010s, calling Obama a racist. But then I go down conspiracy rabbit hole. So I listen to Alex Jones conspiracies. Never was, I could never be a Republican.
Alex Jones was a little different back then.
He was different back then. He was more like a libertarian, true libertarian. And anti-Bush, right? But again, I'm more just the conspiracies is what I'm on. So I have a conversation with friends. Definitely, again, not a Republican. So then I come into college, and I'm in a white evangelical space. I'm very politically curious by this point, but because I'm in a space that devalue politics, I didn't have very many political conversations until the Obergefell decision. So I was on a summer mission trip, and the Obergefell decision comes through.
While you're on the mission trip?
While we're on the trip, so we're in India.
Okay.
And we're sitting in India having a conversation about whether gay marriage should be legal or not. And at the time,
what is
even
wrong?
though I'm an Obama supporter, I'm arguing that gay marriage should not be legal. But people are arguing back at me as Christians. So I'm like, wait a minute, you can believe that and be a Christian? And at this point, I'm thinking there's no way you can believe that. But as they're having conversations with me, I'm realizing I can't really argue against them. You can maybe say the Bible doesn't support that, but the Bible doesn't necessarily need to tell us what should be allowed for our broader society.
Right.
And they're like, why does it matter that, gay people can be married? They're not Christians. And I'm like, damn, I mean, you might have a little point. So anyways, I'm trying to figure this thing out. But then 2015, we have a lot of the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement. We have, Donald Trump comes on the scene. So I'm having more conversations because I'm a black man and I'm seeing black men get shot, and I'm starting to kind of deconstruct some of the white evangelical flavoring that's kind of shaping my worldview. And at that time, I actually came across one of my mentors pointed me in the direction of a theologian named Carl Ellis. And he gave an analogy called the four pains of biblical righteousness. And so the 4 pains are piety, justice, and then for each of those categories, there's the personal, and then there's the social. And in his article and in his talks on this topic, he talked about how evangelical Christians are fixated on personal piety. So when they think about righteousness, the thing that comes to their imagination almost all the time is personal piety. So whether it's, sexual immorality and impurity, especially then, I'm 19, 20 years old. That's the thing all dudes at that age talk about. So while my peers are having sit-ins and protesting what's going on our campus, because there's a lot of racism that was going on our campus. So while they're protesting and doing sit-ins, I'm in the other room talking to my friends about whether or not we looked at pornography the night before.
What a wild,
so fixated on that
parallel experience
that I'm not, of course I care about these issues, right? So I'm seeing, I'm like, damn, maybe I should be over there sitting in with them.
Bro, evangelicals are so wild for how much we talk about pornography and masturbation and stuff.
Reading books, like every Bible study, confession groups, chats.
Come back to what you're talking about. This is a side note. When I was at ORU, I was interviewing to be a chaplain. I'm 17 years old.
17.
I'm a minor. And I go into a room with like a room full of people, of like guys, some of which are like in their 30s, maybe early 40s, late 20s, and like a couple of seniors. And they're interviewing me, and they ask me if I masturbate, how often, and when was the last time I masturbated.
That's crazy that those conversations, because I've been in rooms like that where they're having those conversations with grown-ass men and kids.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Bro, you know what I told them?
What do you tell?
I was like, that's none of your business. I'm not answering that question.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah. And I was like, I think I will report you if you ask me that question again.
Good for you. You had some sense about it.
Well, I actually had talked to my dad beforehand because I heard that was a question they would ask.
Got you.
And I didn't even think anything about it at first, but my dad was like, you will not answer that question.
Yeah.
He's like, who wants to ask you about that? Like, even my dad, he's like,
he was like, that's crazy.
I was like, you guys realize I'm a minor. Yeah. You guys, okay, anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's real.
So they're having sit-ins. You're debating, masturbation.
And I'm having cognitive dissonance because I'm like, I'm pretty sure if I'm a Christian and people are being mistreated, we should care about this too.
Yes.
So even though a lot of the leadership of this parachurch ministry doesn't care about what's happening with black people on the streets, I care.
Yes.
And thankfully I had some older mentors that cared as well and who are on a similar journey.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the beginning of some of my, deconstruction, is I'm starting to realize how can I have a more conscious, aware, deliberate engagement with politics as a Christian?
Yeah.
And not just like, okay, of course I'm gonna be a black person, so I'm gonna go with Obama because he's black, but like, what are some of the policies that need to be put in place to prevent black people from getting shot in the street? Why is this happening at a systemic level, right? So I'm kind of like, on the side reading my theology books, but I'm trying to get a minor in African American studies as well.
Oh, wow.
To try to understand. I mean, I didn't really, but I'm just talking about like my own things that I'm researching and reading and trying to piece together the puzzle pieces. And so to get back to the book, I wish I had this book at the time, because as I'm on this journey, I think I moved to being more of like a deliberate liberal. It took some time. And there were some issues, again, that it wasn't like cut and dry. I think things like gay marriage, it didn't necessarily come around to in the beginning, but I realized that there was much more space in the political realm for me to stand proud and be on the left. Because before I was like, okay, I know I kind of lean left, but some of these people don't necessarily think that it's okay to be a Christian, so maybe I'm just gonna be quiet. But then when Trump comes around, I'm like, no, I'm proudly on the left. And you're crazy for going with Trump. But again, I wish I had the book to kind of fill out some of the more deliberate political leanings and deconstructing things that need to be deconstructed, like capitalism, like liberalism, and understanding like that third pane, that social justice, that how important that is, not just as like a thing that I say I care about, but how do we actually bring social justice to the world, and actually legitimizing politics as not a dirty word in Christian spaces, but as something that's very necessary to engage in and be unashamed about.
I think that's one of the chapters in his book is like, why do I need a politics? And, I'm telling you, like, guys, like, this book is so good because, like, if you're even wondering, like, well, what is the difference between the liberal and the leftist? Isn't that the same thing? No, it's not the same thing. And, somebody asked me, like, well, how would you define the difference? Well, Phil does a tremendous job of it in the book. But if I was saying in a short place, a liberal believes in capitalism and wants to maintain and retain and defend the structures of capitalism, and a leftist does not. And there's a lot of more space in each of those worlds to have a lot more things. You might have liberals that are pretty far left on social issues here in the imperial core. Bro, I hate, and this is probably like people have talked about why you shouldn't do this or whatever, like, I don't know. But like, I hate that the number one cultural analogy that pops in my head is the Hunger Games. Right? But like,
it's a good one.
Like, imagine like a liberal is like somebody in the core, in the, what do they call it? I forget all the things, but like the main district, District 1, I think it's called. And where that's like the imperial core. That's like being in America. Imagine being there and you want everyone's their life to be more free and to have less surveillance and to people to be able to marry whoever they want. And all these things that are good things that I support, that everybody in all of the districts should support. Meanwhile, in order for you to prop up that luxurious lifestyle where there's more equity, more equality, more people have more stuff, you're taking resources and subjugating people from all of the outerlying districts.
Exactly.
And making them live, and often as literal slaves, worse and worse down the hierarchy as it goes, so that we can maintain our liberal, and build our liberal, utopia here in the United States. Like, a liberal, the difference is Barack Obama will gladly, celebrate gay marriage with you, and maybe not even a few years before it happened, but did when it happened. But he's still bombing children in the Middle East. He's still increasing drone strikes. At that point in time, he was still, we called him the deporter-in-chief on the left, because he's out there deporting a ton of people. Now, there is no connection to draw. The Trump administration, the Trump regime is by far worse. Not even close than what a lot of liberals do for us.
Great distinction.
Here,
great distinction.
In the imperial core, in District 1. But in all the other districts, in all these other countries around the world, Obama will gladly celebrate like what we're doing here, gay marriage here in the United States, which we should have, all the while propping up systems of global exploitation that's built on theft, land theft, resource theft. Bro, you look over here in parts of the Congo, where I think it's closer to the Ugandan border. I mean, I might be getting my geography all messed up. But, I mean, these people are being surveilled, forced to mine it sucks because my name is Colten, like this mineral coltan, right? That we have in our laptops, our phones, and everything, in order for people to make money, because Apple's like $1 trillion company or something like that, right? In order to prop up this industry, and it's not just Apple, it's all the tech industry, all the phones have this. In order to do that, like, these people they're held at gunpoint and forced to mine. They use rape as like a tactic to force people to do it. They're standing barefoot in standing water for hours and hours and hours at a time, using their hands to dig and mine these minerals. A liberal is somebody who says we want equality here in the core. And they might turn a blind eye to that. They want to pretend like it's not happening, or they want to make capitalism softer. But capitalism cannot be made softer. Our level of freedom will always come at the expense of taking the resources necessary for that freedom from other countries. And to me, that's the difference between being a liberal and a leftist. It might mean different things about how we're going to achieve what we want to achieve, and there are different things there. I think there's a lot of pushback from liberals online. Even people that I love, because I love a lot of liberals. I love a lot of conservatives, you know what I mean? But like, people who
I don't know if I agree with you on that.
Well, I love my mom and dad.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Well, I saw a video, a comedian, and she's like singing a song, and she's like, every Trump porter sucks except for my mom and dad.
Fair enough.
Every Trump supporter is a fascist except for my mom and dad.
We'll accept it.
And just like my mom is not a Trump supporter. She's a Canadian. God bless her. You know what I mean? But the point is like, people that I like and that like my content even are like, I disagree with you because their exposure to what it means to be a leftist is to be like, a privileged white kid online that doesn't actually do any praxis, that just wants to argue and be elitist and sound nonsense. But the truth is, like, when I talk about being a leftist, I'm talking about like the Black Panthers. I'm talking about community action. I'm talking about an international proletariat uprising of freedom. And I think a big difference, bro, is the difference between equality and liberation, or equality and freedom. We talk about equality here, but what a leftist wants is liberation and freedom for all people. We're not even necessarily that interested in equality. We're interested in getting the boot off of the neck of the people, of the boot of the oppressor off the neck of the oppressed.
Yeah, and I think there's so many Christians that want social justice, but to the point that you're making and to the point that's made in the book, they don't understand what the true impediments to that are. And so if you start to dig a little bit more and you understand how capitalism works and you understand the need for liberation and not just a softer life for us in the imperial core, there's a very straight through line between what Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount and some of the goals of leftism. It is equity. It is looking at the least of these and saying, we're not going to turn a blind eye to what's happening in these other countries because they're not us. Right? Like, we are taking our vision of love and of equality and of equity and of justice beyond ourself, beyond our country, and we're taking it worldwide. And I think if you're a Christian, I think that imagination can resonate with you. Even as somebody like myself who's not a Christian, I still take a lot of my morality ultimately it has to come from somewhere. And I was raised Christian, so even though I don't believe in some of the tenets, I still have a sense of justice and morality that comes from Christianity. So it still resonates with me, right? Like the idea that all people are created equal, that idea resonates with me. And so if we have that goal of a society that's not just structured based off of profit, not based off of hierarchies, but is based off of love, care, that Acts 2, people had everything in common. Community is the thing that matters more than profits and money. And I love the chapter where he kind of critiques some of the pushback that capitalists give as to why capitalism is necessary, almost like people need to be motivated to work, and the only way to motivate them is to basically hold them at gunpoint and say, if you don't work, you're going to die because you can't eat. And he says, actually, no, that's actually not the way humans work. And people are not machines. People are not just motivated by profit. And so capitalism has an incorrect anthropology that I think Christianity can critique. But because we live in a capitalist American society that has indoctrinated Christians to not deconstruct or question capitalism, they don't take that critique and that aim or that the goal of social justice far enough because we've been indoctrinated.
That's exactly right.
And so I'm listening. I remember years ago when a lot of this racial reconciliation conversation was happening, there was a pastor in, I think, Dallas who, and a lot of this stuff I think is bullshit now, but as cops are killing black people, they will have, let's have the cops on stage one week, and then we'll have some black people on stage another week.
Maranatha. Bro, God, save us from this mess.
But the same pastor, he would talk about, the idea of social justice, and he was I think he was on his own journey of becoming a little bit more liberal, but he explicitly called out capitalism as something that should be sustained. And my question is, why? Why is that something that needs to be sustained from a Christian perspective, right? You can, if you want to talk about it from a purely economic perspective, I would have critiques for you there. But as a Christian, shouldn't your aim be more than just making sure that an economy runs efficiently? I don't know. It doesn't add up to me.
They get lost in the sauce because they don't have like the understanding of dialectics. They don't understand like what Marx was saying and how he was using Hegel to say it. They think, Marx just hated capitalism and thought capitalism is the worst thing that ever existed. And so they look at it and they go, And they think he hated religion, which is that's not what he meant by religion is the opiate of the masses. What Marx meant by opium is the religion of the masses, that people are hurting, and religion is like a medicine, because opium was like a medicine back there. It was a painkiller, right? That was often used. She's saying things like religion are like the painkiller. I mean, it's like, what's the difference between a Christian saying it's the balm of Gilead? You know what I mean? Like, that's what Marx is saying.
Literally the same thing.
and so, anyways, Marx isn't like, he recognized that, like, what most of them are seeing, why they think we need to uphold capitalism, which is that capitalism was a tremendous development out of feudalism, and brought about a tremendous amount of increased wealth for many people around the world, especially those of us in the imperial cores. And that it raised the standard of living, that because of capitalism, we ended up getting all of these different things that we couldn't have got under feudalism, like different medical intervention changes or development or research and development and stuff like that. But what Marx was saying is that, yes, this is a decent thing now, but capitalism contains within itself a set of inherent contradictions that will ultimately lead to a collapse that results in X, Y, and Z that will make it bad. And here's what will probably eventually happen. People will have to rise up, blah, 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 the whole thing. See, in a Hegelian like dialectic, right? Marxism is dialectical materialism, right? It's like taking dialectics, Marx was basically taking Hegel and, not turning him on his head, but putting him back on his feet and saying, hey, let's take this out of the world of ideology and put it in the world of material analysis. And so what he's saying, what dialectics is telling us is that every thing contains its opposite, and contains the seeds of what it will become. And so it's a progression. So what they see that, capitalism has brought about all this great stuff, but they have no political or economic imagination to understand that we have to get out of here. It's like saying, well, feudalism was a better change from whatever came before. Like, maybe, but it wasn't, we have to get
He's making
better.
a prediction about what's going to come if you don't improve upon it.
100%.
And even for me, as I've been learning more about leftist ideology, that was an unlock for me. It's not just a critique, it's also a prediction.
Yes, he's making a series of predictions, which, by the way, Adam Smith had a lot of the same insights. The godfather of capitalism, one of the people, I think he might have coined the term capitalism, but everyone points towards The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. I've read The Wealth of Nations. He often says, capitalism will be great if it does X, Y, and Z, but if it does A, B, and C, look out. And guess what capitalism is doing?
A, B, and C.
A, B, and C. And bro, who has the best video everyone should go watch? And this is going to sound crazy. Peter Thiel.
Okay.
Peter Thiel.
I think I know what you're going to reference. Go ahead.
Bro, Peter Thiel unlocks why we have to run away from capitalism better than almost anybody else in a lecture that he gives to Stanford Business School called "Why Competition is for Losers."
Exactly. I watched that.
And in there he says the quiet parts all out loud as if they were positives, where he's basically competing. They tell you that's what you want to do in capitalism. That's for suckers. You want to dominate. You want to create monopolies. You want to buy everything out. He goes, they tell you that that capitalism, this all drives innovation. No. The innovators are never the ones that make any of the money. It's the people like me that come out and either crush them or buy them out for way less than they're actually worth. Right? It's the scientists, the people who really are creative and make things run. They're never the ones that own everything. It's the people like me. It's never he says it's never the first to come to market that wins. That's the innovator. See, people innovate as a natural part of what it means to be human and how we've developed evolutionarily over millennia. And the reason that people aren't as inventive and creative as they could be is because they are trapped by the working every day under brutal conditions on a rat race. That's what we literally call it, the rat race. People be like, I love capitalism, but all right, got to get back to the rat race on Monday. That's what you love, is being trapped.
You love the illusion that someday you may be the capitalist.
Bro, even the benefits of people who have really great jobs, right? What do you call them? The golden handcuffs. Even people who love that shit
so
are they use analogies. They're so close.
Yeah.
But he lets the cat out of the bag. So for Christman, I think this is important. He's to be a leftist isn't to despise ordinary believers for being capitalists or for being liberal, it's to move together us to move together towards systems that are better for people.
Yes.
And better for ourselves, because I believe capitalism also wounds those of us who get the benefits from capitalism. I don't think it wounds us morally, spiritually, at a deep level.
Yeah.
And so, I think all Christians should be leftists.
Yeah, I think it's a vision for a life that I think a lot of Christians would want and prefer, but they just don't feel like, in America at least, they're allowed to think certain thoughts.
That's right.
And I think Christman unlocks that. And if you're able to, even conservatives, I think if you would be open enough to engage with what he's saying, it may not change your mind entirely, but I think it may open you up to at least have a more accurate understanding of leftism as you're describing.
I agree. And our little conversation, even if you got something out of this, it doesn't even hold a candle to like what you're going to get reading that book. Go get the book, Phil Christman, Why Christians Should Be Leftists. Read it today.
Cool. All right, man. That was the last question. So thank y'all for listening. It's been great chatting with you, bro. And again, like, comment, subscribe.
Yes, please. We need your support.
It helps us out.
This is the second episode.
Yeah, more to come.